All right, so you guys are welcome to today's review class, and we will be reviewing the exercise we had that was given out in week 9, which was last week, and there were a couple of submissions, so and I'll just have a look at them now. The exercise, um, let me try to share my screen so that we can start going through the submissions. All right. Now, last week's exercise, week 9, um, basically, I'm going to try to read it out so that we can be on the same page. Now, week 9, 1 minute, please. Okay, so week 9, class 9 was a vectorization and brand naming exercise. And it says for this week's exercise, you are requested to pick any one of the symbols handed out last week. Now, if you've been following the class, you realize that I gave out some symbols. Some of them were animals, some of them were abstract symbols for you guys to sketch while we were still doing the sketching, copying, ideation exercise. And for this week, I said um, we are meant to vectorize the sketch you have made. You can vectorize in any software of your choice. It's important you keep the symbol as a hollow line drawing while vectorizing and not as a solid fill. After vectorizing the image, you are requested to think of a suitable, unique brand name and category. Now, that category can be food, fashion, sports, education, etc., and create a complete logo from the vectorized symbol using your name idea. So I asked you, I said, please don't create any mock-ups. Focus only on vectorizing your sketch and coming up with a suitable name for the brand to be used in the logo. Now, basically, what that just saying is from all the things you sketched the week before, you are meant to choose one that you like the most, and vectorize it. So take it from being a pencil sketch to being digital art. And after which you're now meant to look at that digital art you made and create a brand around it. So think of it and think of what company name will go with this symbol, what category. And this is meant to be an exercise to help you to begin to relate ideas in terms of symbol ideas to um, to businesses. So it is like working backwards. Usually, when you are given a logo, you are given the business idea first. Then you are meant to come up with the design idea. But with this, you've been given the design idea, and you are now from that design idea, you have to create a business idea. The reason we are doing this exercise is because sometimes, as a logo designer, someone will come to you not just asking for a logo, but asking for your advice on the name of the brand. So they're going to say, "Hey, Taiwo, there is this name, there's this business I have. We want to be selling this, but I don't have a name for it. Can you help me think of a name?" Or they suggest a name and they say, "Do you think this name is good enough?" Part of your skills as a logo designer is to be have the ability to come up with good names. It's an added advantage. So when people come to you with bad brand names, which a lot of people come with brand names, you should be able to advise them. You cannot force them to change their brand name, but you can advise them. And from my experience, it heightens the respect a client has for you. Just being able to tell them, this name you have, I don't think it will connect with your audience. I don't think it will look right when we design it in the logo. I don't think it will sound right. Can we help you come up with a name? And it's also an added service that you can charge for. I think there's a huge gap in the design industry when it comes to naming. Not enough people offer naming as a service, and a lot of companies are having a lot of trouble with naming. Number one, they come up with a name, the domain is not available. There's no .com, no .ng, no whatever. You understand? It's not unique enough. They need someone to come up with a unique name for them. Sometimes they come up with a name, the name is not relatable. You understand? They need someone to come up with a name for them. I was just talking with a designer today and he was telling me about how they're having issues with a name, with a brand name he's working on for a client. So the ability to name is very important. And that's why we are dealing with this in this exercise that I gave out last week. And I was also able to share some tutorials on how to vectorize your sketches, and they were they were really tutorials that it took out time to pick, that are easy to understand, easy to use, easy to follow. I hope you went through those tutorials. I know some of you already know how to vectorize, but for those that don't know how to vectorize, please take time out to go through these tutorials. There are three different tutorials, three different approaches. You understand? So if you don't like one, go to the other one. It might teach you a different approach. Go to the other one. It might teach you a different approach. Unfortunately, the only ones I could find were most of them were Adobe Illustrator. You understand? Teaching you how to trace in Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. So if you use Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop, please have a look at these tutorials. They will really help you. So I'll go right to it. Um, I think the first vectorization submission we got was from Taiwo. And this is Taiwo's submission. Taiwo had gone with this symbol that was given out in the last class. So if I were to look for the symbol from the last assignment, you'll see what symbol that is. So that's this symbol. I think it's a very unique symbol. It's a very nice symbol. It's a floral symbol. So it looks like a flower. It looks like a plant. So let's see what Taiwo did with this. So first of all, I think Taiwo's vectorization is very good. He did a good job vectorizing the symbol. Did a very good job vectorizing the symbol. It's neat, it's clean, the curves are well done. I think Taiwo, you did very well with the vectorization of the symbol. It looks really, really good, really, really good. So I think you have a strong hand when it comes to digitizing, which is very important. I'll be very, it's not my strongest point. Digitizing my sketch, even with all the experience I have, I struggle with it a lot. It takes me a while to get it to look exactly the way I want it to look. So for you to do this, I was very impressed with what you did. So you did a very good job. I don't know what approach you used, but your approach worked. So I want you to continue to use the approach. Remember, we are not trying to teach technique. We are trying to teach process. So I don't care about the approach. I don't care about the software. I just care that you did it well. You understand? And so we must concern ourselves with what is important to the client. The client doesn't care whether I use Photoshop, whether I use doesn't care. As long as the digital form comes out in a way the client can use it, that's good. So you did that very well. As it comes to the naming, you came up with this name, Whimsy. It sounds like a personal name. You understand? The brand sounds like a personal brand. So it sounds like it comes out from someone's name. So it's like someone like called Wumi, comes called Wumsy. It might not be Wumi, but that's what it comes out. It comes across to me. But it sounds very personal. I like the fact that it sounds like a personal brand. Um, and you've put a category here which says exclusive flowers. So it's like a flower shop, someone that does flower arrangement and stuff like that. So I'm able to tell the story of this brand just by what you've done, which is what I like. You've chosen a logo that looks floral, and you've been able to come up with a name and the category that I can tie up together. So you have the inverse of the logo here, which is also very good. So it works. It works in one color. I like the fact that your logo works in one color. So you've not tried to over embellish it. It's very simple, very nicely done. Um, there's really nothing much I can fault in how you have solved the problem. You understand? So I've asked you to vectorize, you vectorize. I've asked you to come up with a name, you've come up with a name. I've asked you to come up with a category, you've chosen a good category. So you've done well on all three things required. The only thing I would say is your execution. There's something I would suggest you do. Now, because you have a symbol, I would say try out this symbol. Let your symbol have more presence. I feel that your symbol, the line weight for your symbol is too thin compared to the name. It's too thin. And you know, when you have a symbol, your word mark or the name always plays a subordinate role to the symbol. That means the symbol comes first. The reason why you want to have a symbol in a logo is so that when people see it, they can identify it. They can identify the brand by the symbol. So the symbol is the jewel. If you are working on a word mark, the name is the jewel. But once you have a symbol there, what you are telling people is, after a period of time, you want people to be able to identify Whimsy's flowers just by seeing this icon. So this icon must have presence. The word Whimsy cannot overshadow the icon. The icon must have presence. And for it to have presence, I would say thicken that line, those lines that you have for Whimsy a bit more. Let me see if I can try out something here. So if I were to clean out this Whimsy, clean it out. Let me try to clean this out without affecting. So you see, if I clean out this Whimsy, see what I have here? That icon now becomes very weak against a white background. It's very weak now because the Whimsy is the one giving it body, and that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. This icon should give the Whimsy body, not the Whimsy giving it body. This icon should be able to stand on its own confidently, because when this flower shop grows, sometimes all they will have on their t-shirts is this icon. So that icon must be strong. Obviously, it's already a beautifully designed icon, but then the line thickness must be strong. Do you understand? So I would say adopt a thick line thickness whenever it is you are whenever it is you are designing an icon mark or a symbol mark. You understand? Make sure the symbol is strong. If I go to the original symbol, you will see that the line weight they have used is thicker than the line weight you have adopted. And that's why you can see that this line weight is much thicker than your line weight. If you had gone for this line weight, you'll see that your logo will be stronger. So always think about it when you're designing an icon, the icon should be strong. And I sent some already established logos to the group today, and I want you to look at some of them. So if you look at Mattel, look at the Mattel logo, which is one of my favorite logos. You understand? This Mattel logo is one of my favorite logos out there ever. If you look at that Swift, the bird, you see how strong it is. It's very strong. It can stand on its own. If I were to clean out this Mattel, that Swift will stand on its own because it has presence. Now they have achieved a strong icon, not by the line weight, but by the repetition of the lines within the bird. You understand? So because they have repeated that line so many times within the bird now has more presence. Imagine if that bird was just an outline without those lines, it would be weak. So your icon must be strong, must have presence, must be able to stand on its own. I like this Mattel because if you look at the word mark is also very strong. You understand? But the icon is strong on its own too. So both of them together, they come up with a very, very strong mark that you cannot but recognize. If you look at Remy Martin too. See the icon? Very strong. It's a very strong icon. The icon must be strong. Look at this. Glenfiddich, very strong. So the stronger your icon is, remember your icon is when you are designing a symbol mark, the icon is the focal point. When I look at the symbol mark, the icon is the first thing I should see. When I looked at your symbol mark, Taiwo, the first thing I saw was Wumsy. After seeing Wumsy, I saw the flower, which it shouldn't be. That icon, like when you see Nike, the first thing you see is Nike. When you see Adidas, the first thing you see is their symbol. You understand? That's the way it should be, unless it's a word mark. So that would be my advice to you, Taiwo. I also think with this your logo, I liked it, but it should have been interesting to see, since it's already like, from what I can see, it's a very approachable brand. It's very approachable. It doesn't seem like an elite brand. You understand? Doesn't seem like an elite brand. And this is where we need to know what brand categorization is in terms of brand personality. Let me share something with you. So whenever you're working on a logo, use these ranges to help you decide the personality of a brand. There's something called the personality of a brand. And this understanding the personality of a brand is what separates good designers from average designers. Average designers don't work with personality. They work with just the name of a brand. The good designer works with the personality. So you must know what the personality of the brand is. And I'll take you through some personalities here. There's elite. You can see here we have, let me try to point out where I am here so that you guys can see it. So if you look at this end of the slider here, all right. So you can see there's a word elite. A brand can be an elite brand. One example of an elite brand is Chanel. That's an elite brand. Chanel is an elite brand. Louis Vuitton is an elite brand. Those brands are like premium brands. You understand? They want to communicate class. So you think this brand I'm working with, is it an elite brand? If it's an elite brand, if you're working on an elite brand where you're like, oh, they're telling you, oh, we're a premium store. We are for the high class, for people who earn a lot of money. We're not for everybody. Think about it, it's an elite brand. Now, what you should now Google, if you want to do your research, or whenever you're doing your research and you want to use Google or go to Pinterest or whatever, you see what a lot of people do. If they're doing a job for a restaurant, a logo for a restaurant, what they will do is go and Google restaurant logos. That's a wrong way to do research because there are different types of restaurants. There are fast food restaurants, there's fine dining restaurants. So you need to know what kind of restaurant you are designing for. And if it's an elite restaurant, you now go and search for examples of elite brands. What you are looking for is the personality, not the category. You design for the personality, not the category. So sometimes you will get inspiration for a restaurant by looking at a shoe brand, because for both of them, they have the same personality, even though they are different categories. One is in fashion, one is in food, but they are both in they both have an elite personality. So when you design, you can get inspiration for a restaurant by looking at the way Chanel handles their typeface, the way they handle their symbols, the way they handle their colors. Because elite brands, they have the same aura. They have the same aura. So when you are researching, you are researching for the personality, not for the category. And that's where a lot of designers get it wrong. Someone tells you, I'll still use that restaurant. We have a fine dining restaurant, and sometimes a lot of times they serve like chicken meal, chicken based food and stuff like that. A designer that doesn't know about brand personality will just hear restaurant that sells chicken, and before you know it, he's putting an image of drumsticks or a whole chicken with sizzling, with smoke coming out of it there. That is not appropriate for a fine dining restaurant. You understand? But because he has thought of category over personality, he now designs wrong. And then the client looks at it and says, no, this is not what I asked for now. This is not what I asked for. I said by a fine dining restaurant, by a classy place. Then he goes back and he changes the drumstick and he changes it to another type of fast food looking thing. And they said, no. Then somebody else comes. They hire another designer that understands brand personality. And all he does is write the name of the company, the name of the restaurant alone, in a very classy serif font. And then they said, we are happy with this, and they pay the person. Then the designer that they hired the first time said, this person not do as much work as I did now. Why are they paying him more than, why are they hiring him? Why are they approving his logo? Because he understands the personality and you don't. You only saw the category. So think of it. Is it elite? Or, sorry. Is it elite? Or is it mass appeal? Those are two ends of the spectrum. Mass appeal means it's for everybody. Everybody can enjoy this brand. Anybody can approach this brand. But for anybody, we don't have any class system. You understand? When you look at a brand like H&M, it's a mass appeal brand. Mass appeal. Anybody can walk in and you can see it in their logo. Chanel has used black. Sorry. Let me come out of here. H&M has used red. You can see how playful looking their logo is. It's not rigid, unlike Chanel, which has used a really rigid, classy typeface, and also an easy to recognize symbol. Do you understand? So you must ask yourself, what category does my client's business, not what category, what personality does it have? So you think, is it serious? Or is it playful? You can see this is serious brand. Palantir, serious. You can see the font serious, the symbol serious. There's nothing, it almost seems, you almost look at it like this is boring, but it is serious. They mean serious business, unlike Google, which has used how many different colors? Blue, yellow, red, green. Interchangeably. It's a playful logo. Even this is the old Google logo that has used some kind of serif font. But now they're even using sans serif to make it more approachable. Is it conventional or is it rebellious? Conventional or rebellious. So conventional means when it looks like every other thing within that category, where they're not trying to make a statement. They're just trying to do business. They're not trying to break the mold. They're trying to do it the way other people have been doing it. Conventional. And you see, when you look at stuff like that, you see a lot of banks. They try to be although nowadays there are a lot of banks that are trying to be rebellious, but back in the days, banks were not trying to be, they're trying to be conventional because they wanted to build trust. So they wanted to know your money was safe, full stop. But when you look at playful, when you look at a bank like First Bank, it's conventional. You understand? Those kinds of conventional type branding. But look at Kuda. Kuda is like rebellious. So when you look at the logo of Kuda, the repetitive K that is bending like in 3D motion, banks didn't used to do all that before. Because when someone saw something that was like that was kind of playful, they wouldn't trust to put their money there. But now people have changed. So they're like, oh, this is an exciting bank. Let me put my money there. So you need to think, what's the personality they are going for? Is it friendly or is it authority? So you think about it. Is it a brand that wants to relate with people on a one-on-one basis? Just like Taiwo's Whimsy. It seems friendly. It seems like someone's nickname, Whimsy. Do you understand? It seems like a friendly brand. There are some brands that don't want to seem friendly, they want to seem like authority. Like if we've been doing this for the past 50 years, we know what we are doing, we're the industry leaders. Those two brands cannot look the same. They can't look the same. You can see that the New York Times here, you can see the font they've used. It's like some old script that's intentional to make you know that they've been there for a while. They know their business. Is it mature and classic, or is it young and innovative? So you see, like this bank, Wells Fargo, although the bank has gone under now, they've been around for a long time. See their logo, red, square, yellow font. It's mature. No funny shapes. It's mature. You understand? They're colors that can be easily identified. They're not using, like saying, oh, we are using lavender. Do you understand? All those exotic type colors. They're saying we are mature. We don't use those. Red and yellow, that's what we use. You can see they're typefacing, all uppercase. So they're trying to be mature and classy, or young and innovative. So there are some companies that are trying to show that they are young, they are innovative. They know the latest trend. They go with trend. You understand? And so you can see some of them can be very simplistic. They can be very simplistic because they are young. They're like, man, we are super minimalistic, man, because it's what's trendy right now. So whatever is trendy is what they adopt. So if you're working for that kind of company, you need to think of not the category, but think of what are companies, what are people, what are the trendy things people are doing with logo design right now, and how can I apply it to this client? So understanding the personality is more important than the category. So what I was trying to point out here is that with Taiwo's Whimsy, it would have been good. I would have liked to see a logo that was, because it seems very friendly. The name seems very friendly. The personality seems friendly. I would have liked to see, when I look at it, I see this line, and I'm wishing this W were lowercase, so that flower can sit on it properly. This thing that I'm seeing here with W, see, the logo has this shape. You understand? With the W being very big. I'm wishing the logo just had this shape and the icon on top there. That way, it's going to look super friendly. You understand? When I see that Whimsy, I think you might want to try it out. I'm also looking at the spacing. You see, when a brand is a friendly brand, you try to, another thing that makes a brand appear friendly is the spacing. See, you have your spacing, and your spacing is kind of loose. I wish your spacing were tighter. Your kerning were tighter. So your words were closer together. That way, it will look even more approachable, more friendly. The more space you have between words, the more unfriendly and the more formal the logo is going to look. The tighter it looks, the more friendly, the more approachable, the more relatable your logo looks. So those are things you want to keep in mind as you design. But you can only keep this in mind when you go and look for logos that have the same personality as your logo. You just realize that they are all doing one thing. That one thing that they are doing is what you want to copy. Remember, copying is very important. I'm not teaching any of you to start to think unique thoughts yet. No, copy. When you copy, you get to a place where you automatically start doing unique things yourself after a while. So none of you should feel bad. I'm giving you logos that are already existing. No. I want you guys to get into the art of going out, looking at what established people are doing, copying their style, then use that to develop your style as you go. That's what I did. And it still works for me today. You must be able to look at something and say, oh, I like the font they use. Oh, I'm going to look for something like that because it fits the personality of what I'm working on. And then go and adjust what they've done. Adjust it to yours. Adjust it to yours. And then you realize that you're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I was telling some people that it's not practice that makes people better in logo design. It's not practice. I know people that practice for 10 years. Their work is still not good. It's not practice. It is exposure. A well-exposed person will be doing amazing things within a year than somebody who practices without exposure for 10 years. That's the reality of design. So that would be my advice to you. I think you also want to look at your scale. So let me come out of here. You want to look at your scale. The scale of your symbol to the name of your brand. The scale is very important. That's why you need to copy. Look at how people have used scale and look at how you use scale. I still believe that your wombs is a bit too big. But if you're going for a friendly feel, you might leave it this size and just make that W lowercase. That might work better. But I want to show you one. I'll show you a logo I just sent to the group. Sorry. All right. So you see these logos. You see this company is called Shapia or Shapia. I don't even know what it's called, but look at it. Look at the scale of this icon to the scale of this word mark. See how beautiful that is? That's beautiful. The first thing you see is the icon, is the celebrity there. The word mark is just like the entourage. You understand? But you can see the scale. The scale adds some class to this logo. Uh-oh. So that is what you want to watch out for. So when you are designing, take a look at how people have designed stuff like that in that your category. Do you understand? Check it out. Look at this too. See the scale? You can see the scale. Now, if you compare the scales to your Whimsy scale, you realize that there's a difference. So let's go back to your scale. You can see how big yours is. It takes away from number one, the icon, and it takes away from the class. So depending on what you're going for in your mind, if it's meant to be a classy brand, you see, I can change this logo you've done to a classy brand. Number one, if I want to change it to a classy brand, number one, I will make all the typeface, everything uppercase, increase the spacing a bit, and put it under there small. Do you understand? That will now look like a classy, exclusive flower shop, if that's what you're going for. If you're going for a warm, friendly, approachable flower shop, you can still use this your font, tighten the spacing of your characters a bit more, and then enhance that your icon. Let it be bolder. You'll see how much the personality of your brand will come out. So that said, I think you've done a good job. Just keep all these things in mind. You understand? If you want to adjust it, you can adjust it and send it back to me. I'll have a look at it. But I think this is a good try that you've done. I want us to look at Moses' work. Moses also made a submission. So Moses has done this. He has gone with this deer head, which his sketch was really good sketch he has done. Very nice sketch. His vectorization also really good. You can see, without saying much, Moses has made the same mistake that Taiwo made. His icon is too weak. Icon is too weak. That word mark totally outshines the icon. That icon has to be thicker, stronger, more present. Very important. That icon is too weak. It needs to be about 3 or 4 line weights than it is right now. You understand? If this Golak is going to be this line weight, then this icon must be something very close to this line weight. It must stand out. It cannot be weak. It must stand out. So like the ones that I've shown you earlier, you realize that they didn't use weak. Not weak, very strong. Very strong. So you must think about it. It cannot be weak. So that's the vibe I get from Moses' submission. He also needs to watch scale too. So when I look at this, number one, this is their head is too close to the word mark. There should be some space between them. There should be space here. There should be some spacing here. You understand? There should be some spacing, and that's where we need to copy to the detail. See how these other established companies are. That's all you need to do. Don't try to be a genius. Just look at what they are doing. They've been doing it longer than you, and they've been doing it better than you. You will catch up with them, but you don't start out catching up with them. You start out behind them, watching how they are running. You know, that's the way. Don't try to be a genius with design. People have done it before you. Copy them, build on what they've done. Look at, I will emphasize that space that he doesn't have. See this space? Makes a world of difference. That's clear space between your symbol. It's a world of difference. Those spaces, sorry, 1 minute. Those spaces are no joke. They add class. They help people to read your logo better. Those spaces, they're no joke. You copy them. You can copy them, measure them, see, and just apply it to yours like that. Don't assume you know the space difference. Just copy what they have. Copy what they have. Look at it. Look at the space here. See that space? Intentional space. It's intentional. That is very intentional. And those are the kind of things you copy. To that one. Look at this one. Space. So important. That space is important. So you must keep that space. If I go back to Moses' own, you would realize that that space is not there, or not there enough. So when I look at Moses' stuff, there's almost no space. In this, no space there. Here we still have some space, but I believe there could be more. It helps the hierarchy of reading your design easily. So your design doesn't look jumbled up. So those are two things I want Moses to take note of. You see how thick your dare head is in Sketch? That's how thick it should be in digitization. That thick. That's what adds the beauty to your work. I would go to, yes, this book. You can see this Elite's work. Elite here he has chosen this stag. It's a stag. His digitization very good. I think one thing I want to go back to. I want to go back to Moses' work. There was something I forgot to mention with Moses. Moses has called he has come with a derived name, good. It's called Golak, good. But what does Golak do? The category is not there. And I mentioned that there should be a clear category when you give the name. So it's hard for me to judge how this fits into the naming he has done. Because it can be Golak's Kidswear, or Golak Motors, or Golak Restaurants. What does Golak do? So if I know what Golak does, I'll know if this logo works for it. So I think Moses needs to think of the category. The category is very important. What's the category of this logo? Just like Taiwo has done, he has shown he's a flower shop. You understand? It's decorative. That's good. I can put it in context and say his logo works. The name works. Well, now I can't say this name works because I don't know what category it is. I like the name. It's simple, memorable, but does it work in the category and does it work for the personality? So I feel Moses needs to clarify that when we're working on this. So those are things Moses might need to look at. Elite. So here he has Maddie Motors. Maddie Motors. Now, his digitization is really good. He has been able to digitize this icon very well. He has done a good job doing that, in vectorizing it. The name is good. My issue with this name is how to pronounce it. You understand? You have that N and M going. I don't know whether the N is silent or not. That's what you need to think about with your naming. So I'm not too keen on this naming. I don't know whether it's me that can't pronounce it, but it's hard for me to pronounce that Madi. Is it Madi or Namdi? No, it's definitely not Namdi, but it's Madi, Nadi. I don't know, and you don't want people looking at your brand name not knowing what it's called. You don't want people looking at your brand name not knowing what it's called. Like for every other person, Wumzi, I could call that. Golak, I could call that. Madi, Nadi, I don't know what to call it. You understand? So with the naming, he hasn't done too well. He has put in a category which is motors. That's good. You understand? So I know it's an auto dealership or stuff like that, or they manufacture cars. That's clear. One thing I would tell Elite is he should, there's something called the main brand name, and there's another thing called the category. So I feel that Madi should be emphasized while the motors is in smaller fonts. A lot of Nigerian companies do theirs like this. I don't think it works too well. It makes the logo so heavy, so chunky. It's not necessary. If you look at the logos, all the logos I've put here, their category is always, see, Glenfiddich has this simple malt Scotch whiskey. You see, their category is so small compared to the brand name. Remy Martin, fine champagne cognac. See how small that is compared to the main brand name. Martell cognac. You can see how Martell is big, the cognac small and fine. This one doesn't even have any category. This one, Romai Qua. This is not a good brand name either. It might be a foreign looking brand name. And I think with these foreign names, you understand, they seem like traditional. I don't know what to call it. But what I'm trying to point out here is premium olive oil. You can see how small that is. It just adds some level of um, it helps the composition of your logo, of your arrangement. So you want to think of that when you are working. See Jaguar, you just have Jaguar there. You see the registered name might not be Jaguar, it might be Jaguar Motors. You understand? So even with yours, if you're going to add that category, you might want to make that motto smaller. Another thing I see is that you've done some kind of left justification of your entire work. I don't know how well that works. I feel with logos that you stack up like this, um, you centralize it. You understand? You centralize the icon to the name to the category. It looks better that way. It looks much better that way than this justification that you've done. Because then now it looks funny. You understand? So I'm thinking, how do they use it? And it doesn't help to emphasize your icon. You understand? So think about it. Another thing I think you want to think about is the scale of your icon to your word mark. I feel this icon should be bigger or this word mark should be smaller. You understand? They are competing too much. They compete too much. And I don't think they should compete like that. You understand? That icon is so beautiful. That star is so beautiful. Let it come to the fore some more. And that name be smaller. And this name be the smallest. You understand? That kind of hierarchy beautifies your work at the end of the day. So that would be my advice to you. I think you've done well with your vectorization. I think your vectorization is very good. Um, yeah. So basically, those were the three that I saw that were submitted so far. No. There was one submitted by Felix. Yeah, his was a PDF, so I didn't see his on time, but he vectorized his too, and so his vectorization is very good. His vectorization is really really good. He has done very neat vectorization. Dumari, it's a good name. I can pronounce it. So that was elite. Once you have the name, once you have your consonants and your vowels well positioned, people will be able to read it as long as they're educated. Make it easy to read. Consonant beside consonant, very hard, very very hard a lot of times. So think about that, elite, when you're working. But I like what um, Felix has done here. The only thing I'll say with Felix work is also scale. I think scale and spacing. You see what I was talking about spacing the other time? Felix needs some spacing. There is no space between, the space is too small between that icon and this word mark. That's too small. It's infringing on the space of of the of the um of the word mark. As long as this D, if you draw a line from the beginning of this D, from the top of this D, it will enter into your icon. That is already bad. The invisible box starts from the top of your tallest alphabet. You draw it around to your base. This icon should not infringe on that, and it has done that. I feel the icon is way too big. Either the icon is way too big or the name is way too small. You understand? But I think that icon could be a little smaller to make it a little cuter. You understand? A little smaller. You understand? Now it's just way too overpowering and it's already infringing on the name of the company, of the brand. But I think I've done a good job in terms of the naming of the brand. It looks good. Um, it looks good. I have some concerns about this R and I. I like the way he has joined them, but in joining them, it has affected his kerning because this kerning between these two letters is not the same kerning. between these two letters, not the same kerning between two letters. So for aesthetic sake, he has compromised his kerning. So the eye looks like it's on a different island, looks like Damar eye. You understand? But you want to look like Damari. So you need to think about your kerning. So if you wanted to really achieve this, he might have needed to have spread out the kerning across these other characters too. And that would have helped his work a great deal. But aside that, I think his work is good. He has done a good job with this. I feel that resort, number one, that resort, a little bit, I feel if that resort were in all uppercase, a different font, a much simpler font, it will look better. I think that resort should not be as celebrated as that, which is what I was still telling Elite with that motto that he put there. It's a categorization. After a while, people will not call it Damari Resort anymore. They'll call it Damari. You understand? People don't call it Hilton Hotels anymore. They call it the Hilton. People don't call it Sheraton Hotel. They call it Sheraton. You understand what I'm saying? So those categorizations are not as important. So what I feel he could have done, you see, there's something he did here. You see how this fictional name is written under this Damari. You see how nice that looks? That looks nice. If you had just written that resort in that font, also in blue, in capital under it, maybe just a tad bigger, it will look classier. You understand? But you know, these are things you find out by number one, understand the personality. Once you understand the personality, go and check it. Check. So if it needs to say, is this a classy resort? Is it a fun resort? If it's a fun resort, then you don't go and check for resorts. What you go is looking for are fun brands, playful brands. That is what will inform. But if you go and check for results, the problem is you might end up copying someone's logo that is in the same category. But when you look at the personality, you can take an experience from a different category and use it for your category. And that's when you can do something really unique that will stand out. But most people just go and look at resort. They get inspiration from resort logos. That's why every resort logo looks the same. Because everybody's looking at resort logo. But if everybody's looking at fun logos or classy logos, every resort logo will not look the same. Because people will see different classy logos and get inspiration from different classy or fun logos. So that would be my advice to Felix and to every one of you. But I think generally everyone has done well. I look forward to seeing more of digitization. A lot of people have not digitized their work. I can see a lot of sketches. The sketches are good. We still need more practice on the sketches. And some people still need more practice on sketches. But I can see massive improvement from the first sketch you guys have done. Remember, don't stop sketching. Keep sketching. Like with this now, with Felix sketch, I'll just quickly talk about Felix sketch. He has done double lines here, not necessary. Your sketches should always be single lines. Like I said in the previous class, if you want the line to be thicker, run over it again. But don't do double lines and shade in between. That's construction, and it's very hard to draw well if you are constructing. So Felix might need more experience or more practice sketching. Um, and I feel a lot of people do need more practice sketching. But a lot of people have done well. I can see that people are intentional about their sketching. So keep practicing sketching. But I want us to be on the same page with this vectorization. So if you have the time, vectorize your work, come up with a brand name, and you'll be on the same page with everyone. For this week's exercise, now you've digitized your work, you've come up with a brand name. Now I want you to go and mock up your work. Now I go to present it. I'm asking you guys to now go and present your work. So you're going to do like a presentation. Show like Whimsy now, the Whimsy brand you did, Taiwo. Now, put it in real life. Put it on products. Put it on merchandise. Let me see how it can be used. You understand? So go and do a mock-up for it. Do a mock-up but please, your mock-up should not be more than 3 to 4 slides. 3 to 4 slides. Nothing more than 4 slides is enough. Nothing more than 3. So 4 slides is the maximum. 3 slides is okay. If you can get everything on one page, that's fine. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You understand? 3 to 4 pages of mock-up, but present your work. So if I were the client from Whimsy, let me see how this logo works on packaging. You understand? On uniforms, on whatever it is. Bring the industry to life by presenting it. So you need to go and research and look at what mock-ups look like. I'll try sending some mock-ups to the group so that you can just get a good idea of what mock-ups look like. So let your mock-ups reflect the category. Like Moses now, your Golak, I don't know what it is, but you need to think of the category and mock up your logo for the category. You understand? So this exercise is a core presentation exercise. So 3 to 4 slides. 3 to 4 slides. Please don't go beyond 4 slides to mock up your work. But look for mock-ups. Look for convincing, beautiful mock-ups. Your presentation is where you win the client. That's where you win the client. That's when you show the client that your logo can work at the end of the day. So please do mock up your work, and that should help you. All right, there's a question here. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question. Timlane, I think this Timlane also has a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Thank you very much for the shared knowledge. I really appreciate. Though I've not been fully, participating on the group and all those things, but I've been practicing on my own air. But I'll try to do these recent assignments. I've been busy because of school and also some brands I'm working for, so making everything come together has been really hectic, but it is well, sir. Okay, so my first question is yeah, there was this time I watched your YouTube video and you mentioned the personality parts. To me, most times it sounds interesting and it sounds kind of simple, but it's kind of hard because okay, now looking at the brand, getting the brand name, personality, let's say happy brand and all those things, now bringing that happy feeling into something that you can see. It's more like something abstract into real life. So most times when I probably get a gig from a client and I want to try something like that, it's just like most times we just sit down and think for like hours, um, check brands relating to, like you said, check brands relating to having the same feel, like what you want to do, and all those things. But it's just somehow. I don't know if you have a tip, probably a tip that can help in making that better. I know it starts from practicing a lot and probably thinking a lot about things, right? But still, I just want to know what like your design process. How is your logo design process like when you want to probably design for a client and you want to bring that personality into life? And also, this is something I've been thinking about for days now. I've just been thinking about it personally. It's not in a way what we talked about. It's not really related, but it's logo related. So, do I have to go ahead, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so now it's more like a trend in branding world, stroke logo world, to create simple logos because in a way they are functional, they are simple, and it's more like a trend going on, right? A lot of brands have actually gone from that complex logo to a simple logo kind of a thing, and it's very nice. But I can't but help to have this feeling of I think people are basically accepting simple logos because big brands are changing to simple logos. So I just feel when it comes to logos, even when it comes to anything, trend is very important, and people just blindly follow trends. And the funny thing about all these things is when um, a company or a brand that is big, when a series of big brands follow a particular part of a particular trend, it's it's kind of normal for every other person to follow, right? And it's like that in real life too. Probably when a celebrity posts something, so many people want to post too, and that thing will become popular, and people want to do it, things like that. So I can't still but help to think that simple logos might actually be a trend created by big brands, and basically other brands are following so as to work in that way. And there might actually be a time that bigger brands would probably one of them will just change or probably rebrand to a complex looking logo, something complex than the simple ones that we have now. And complex logo will now start being a trend. Now we have metaverse, we have 3D and all those things. And I just feel there might actually come a time in life where complex logo might actually reign again. And people will have to, go back to creating complex logos again. So it's more like a thought. I just want to share it and see your view on it. Is it a trend that maybe it's actually created by big brands, or is it a thing that you feel is here to stay? Thank you, sir.
All right. So, thanks a lot, Timley. First of all, I understand that everybody has their own schedule. So don't worry about the fact that it's hard to catch up. As I said at the beginning of the class, that some people might not be able to catch up till the end of the class. You understand? But the group will still be very open for someone to go through from beginning to the end. That's why a lot of this is recorded. You understand? But I like the fact that you said you've been watching, you've been learning. That's good. You understand? But I just say whenever it is, you have the time, sometime from school, sometime from. It's more important to do it at a time when you are focused than to try to squeeze at the time when your mind is not focused. Because I want people to do it with all their heart, not to rush it and just say, I want to submit an assignment. No, it's not that. It's not a training. It's not school. You understand? And I want it to fit to people's lives as much as possible. So whenever it is you have the time, get to do it. Don't rush it. You understand? Because when you rush it, what I will assess is a rush job, and that might not be a good assessment of what you can do. Um, I think with this, your first question about brand personality, yes, it's hard because we are not used to it, but it's the key and the secret to success in logo design, understanding the personality of a brand. And I'm glad you said you heard it in one of my YouTube videos because that's what I talk about a lot. It can get complicated because you don't know the words that will personalize the brand because there are so many words. So you see, that's why I gave you this slider. Please, everyone should save this slider. It's very important. And it's important because it gives you the words to use. Elite, mass appeal, playful, conventional, rebellious, friendly, authority, mature and classic, young and innovative. Keep those words. Work within those words. Don't work outside those words. So, because if you go and type happy brand, do you know what a lot of these search engines will give you? Or happy logos, happy design. They'll give you a logo that has smiley giving you thumbs up. That's not what you need. That doesn't help you. Because the computer, that happy, it's very broad. And there is a particular look and feel that has owned that space, that category of happy. So when you do happy, you will see smiley for sure. And that's not what you want. You understand? So instead of saying happy, you might say playful. You might say mass appeal. You see that if you say mass appeal logos, it will give you something more pointed than giving you than happy. Happy, you sieve and sieve and sieve. If you say playful logos, it will give you something more pointed than. So those are the words you work with. When you look at elite logos, it will give you that. So work within these words. You understand? So what you need to do is these sliders, be familiar with it. When you get a brief, just ask yourself, is it elite? Is it mass appeal? Is it serious? Is it playful? Is it this? And they've given you logos on each end to help you know what category these words are, what they fit into. And by the time you search them too, you will find more. You understand? So by the time you start getting used to it, subconsciously you begin to know these categories. You won't even need to check slider anymore. You begin to know these categories by yourself. So that would be my biggest advice to you on that personality. It takes practice. It takes practice. I'll tell you that you might not get it the first time, but by doing it over and over again in an intentional way, using the slider, you understand? Using those words. Don't because there are so many words. If you say sad logo, you will just see what you see is sad emoji. You understand? That doesn't really because the computer doesn't understand that as a category that has been used well over time. So use the slider to start with. Use the slider. You see how much that will help you. Use those adjectives in the slider. You understand? And you realize that you begin to be able to tell what category a brand should fit into in terms of personality. Um, as per as per whether a logo is whether simple whether complex logos will come back, I don't ever think a time will come when complex logos will come back. Never, because the world is evolving and the world is simplifying things. Now, why do we have simple logos? Why? That's the biggest question. Why have logos been simplified? Because simple logos help for easy identification, easy reproduction of these logos. Um, it makes life easier for not for the designer, but for the customers, the end users. Life is never going to go back to a place where things will be harder for the end users. Never. It's just like saying cars will go back to using manual gear. Never going to happen again. It has gone. Once you enjoy something that is better, you never go back to the old. You understand? Cars will never go back to using manual gear. It will be automatic. Then it will come to a place whereby the gear system will not even be anything you touch at all. It will continue to be less and less and less till it becomes seamless. You understand? So we're not going to go back to a point whereby the one big company will just add everything to become a thing, because it makes life difficult for the end user. And the end user, not the company, not the designer, dictates trend. And what the end user wants is for their life to be easy. You understand? That's why complex logos will never come back. Those ones that have plenty colors and stuff, they won't come back. They will continue to be simplified and simplified and simplified and simplified. Logos might even be simplified to the point whereby a dot is a logo. It should just be a dot. But it is when you look at the dot with a particular type of glasses or whatever it is that you see the code within the dot. It might not be symbols and elements anymore. It might not be fonts and all those things anymore. It might just be a dot. But because everybody is wearing some particular kind of glasses or seeing some particular kind of thing, they just see that dot as something else and they can identify it. Or it will just be something beyond. It's going to be simpler. It cannot be more complex. You understand? It might be a sensation that it gives out. You understand? Just a sensation that this brand gives, that brand icon gives out. So it's like everything is just a black dot, but when you see it, just transmits to your head that this is Versace. You understand? Just transmits to your head that this is Versace, not visually anymore, but telepathically. You understand? That's what it cannot go back to complex logos. So that should not be a fear. It continue to be simple. Any other question?
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, I actually just have two questions only, and the reason I've not been able to submit is I just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, and I've been having issues with the edges of the icon that I selected. So, because I've been looking at it from the angle that it have to be thick, just like what you have said earlier, and it has to be thick with what you sent to us. So that's one of those reasons, and I just want to take my time. But I'll do that this week. I've submitted by God grace. But my second question is, number two is that I noticed that these days many people are coming up with creating logos with great system and other things. Like, because about 2 to 3 months ago, I was just trying to learn more about this logo and branding of a thing, and someone said that you need to understand grid system, understand this and that, and using it from Illustrator, using your shape builder to. So it got to a stage that it was so convincing that yes, at some point I got it right, but at some point, if I'm to sketch my own logo and okay, let me now utilize the grid system method, it's kind of very convincing, especially if the sketch is very complex. So I want to find out, is it that the grid system is that so important, or is it that it is what is part of the process? Let me just put it that way. Like, is the grid system part of the process? Or as long as you are using the grid system when sketching, you don't need it on the system again?
Okay, and that's a good question, Dami. Personally, I don't think the grid system is a necessity. I don't think golden ratio is a necessity. I don't use it. I've never used it for any of my logos. Never. And I've done loads and loads of logos that companies are using today. Never had a problem in reproducing it, whether in digital form, in physical form for signages, in um, what do you call this thing? Monogramming. That's never given issues. Um, I think, and that's where the technique is not as important. A lot of times as designers, we focus too much on the unimportant things, technique, software, not important. That's why I don't mention those things. It's the process, and that's the process of idea, execution, presentation. The client doesn't care whether you used a grid or circles, or we do those things to impress ourselves as designers. The client doesn't care. They really don't care. I remember someone was looking at the logo for what company was this? Was it Airbnb? No, no, no. Oh, I've forgotten. It was either Airbnb or Lyft, one of those companies. And they were looking at it and looking at how it didn't align with the the golden ratio. And but that company had been in operation for, and they were successful. I forgot what company it was. If I find it, I'll share it with you guys. It didn't align. They put the circles and the circles didn't align where it should be aligning. But who cares? Do you understand? The client don't care. They can identify it. They've been identified. They've been using it. And the normal eye, the human eye doesn't see that. You understand? So I think we need to come off this whole technique. Many years ago, the technique was to cut out stencil with cutting knife and cardboard and cut out stencil. Nobody's doing that anymore. So I feel, look for the technique that works for you and own it. Own it. If it helps you to deliver at the end of the day. Um, Now I'm not saying the golden ratio is not good. It works for some people, but I've seen people do grid system golden ratio, and I've still done absolutely rubbish, in my own opinion. The logo doesn't look good. It's not functional. Scaling is bad. Balance is bad. You know, those are the things we need to look at when designing, not really the technical stuff. Any other questions? All right. So if there are no other questions, I'll be closing the class right now. It's like an hour, 20 minutes. So I don't want it to be too long, so that when you're watching the video, it's easy for you to consume. But I will encourage you. Let's do the exercise. As that when you have time, do it. If you have time, do it. You understand? Don't be lazy about it. You have a good excuse not to do it. You understand? Have a good excuse. If you're at school, there's no time, there's no time. But if you have time, do it, because it helps you to get the result you paid for to be in this class. And then you can start using it for clients as soon as possible. So the more you put it off, the more you put off your efficacy as a designer when working with clients. You understand? So I'm looking forward to seeing your work. Um, I've given the exercise for the week. I'll still type it out and put it on the group for you guys to mock up your work. I'll try to show you work to inspire you guys too. Well, thank you everyone for taking time to be part of the class. Aramide, thanks. Dami, thanks. Felix, thanks. Um, Coyote, thanks. And greetings to your son. I think he's doing a good job. Moses, thanks. Taiwo, thanks. Richard, thank you very much for being a part of today's class. And Timmy Lane, thank you very much. All right, guys, have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, then.
Thank you so
So have
much,
a
sir.
nice day.
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
Yes, sir.
So you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and please keep sharing materials. Remember, there's no restriction to sharing on the group. Interact as much as possible. You have resources,
All right,
share.
sir.
Someone asks a question, you want to answer them, answer them. It's a free environment. It's very collaborative. You have a video that will help us share. You understand? All right, take care of yourself,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
I'll be ending the call
All right,
right
sir. Thank
now.
you so much, sir.
All right, then. Take care of yourself.